Okay, good afternoon to all of you. I am Dr. Gaurav Kumar on behalf of organizing committee of this FDP and Galgotia University family. I would like to welcome you all in the workshop, 5-day online faculty development program on bridging research and innovation in biomedical sciences and engineering. So for this event, we have received more than 500 registration from 23 states and over 100 institutions across the pan India. And I think approximately 123 participant has joined with us. So before proceeding for the workshop, I will briefly discuss about the innovation and entrepreneurship culture and achievement of our Galgotia University. The university has established the Institute Innovation Council under the Ministry of Education Innovation Cell in the academic year 1819, and from that period the IIC Galgotia University received 4-star rating by the Ministry of Education for promoting the innovation and entrepreneurship at the campus. We have organized more than 250 events on entrepreneurship, innovation, and IPR in collaboration with the various departments and the school of the university, as well as we have a great association with other incubators as well as government institutions. The IIC Galgotia University is proud to be included as the one among 16 governing member of the IIC Consortium Uttar Pradesh, as well as we were selected as a mentor institute with funding support by the Ministry of Education Innovation Cell in this year. We have also secured rank band 11 to 50 in the NIRF Innovation Ranking 2023 declared by the Ministry of Education. Our more than 30 faculties has completed the Innovation Ambassador training offered by the Ministry of Education and Innovation Cell as well as AICT, and they are providing supports and mentorship to the student to transform their idea into the startups. So apart from the Institute Innovation Council, our university also actively participated in the Kapila scheme and adopted the National Innovation and Startup Policy. We have our own incubation policy for the newly established startups. The university has developed the Yukti portal for the submission of the idea, innovation in a startup from the faculty and student member. And till date, we have received more than 2,000 ideas, innovation and startup through the Yukti portal. We have also a dedicated IPR cell that are supporting a free IPR filing for the student and faculty member. The university also ranked among top 3 patent filer in Pan India. The university has established student-driven e-cell and innovation cell that consist more than 250 student members. The university also has incubation center with the name of Galgotia Incubation Center for Research, Innovation, Startup and Entrepreneurship as an independent Section 8 company. The incubator is also registered on the Startup India and Start in UP portal. Currently, we have 100 plus startup that are under pre-incubation and incubation stage. We have also a strong network of alumni entrepreneur. More than 150 alumni entrepreneurs are providing the mentorship support and linkage support to the incubated startup. We have also hosted the Toycathon physical edition in the drug discovery hackathon previously, and we have hosted 3 times the Smart India hackathon, hardware and software edition. So with this word, I am wishing you great learning ahead, and I am inviting the Dean of School of Allied Health Sciences, Professor Sagun Agarwal, sir, to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, all. Our dear esteemed colleagues, I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to all of you in the inaugural session of our FDP on bridging research and innovation in biomedical sciences and engineering. This program represents a significant milestone in our continuous efforts to enhance our understanding and application of cutting edge research in the medical fields. Throughout this program, we will deliver into the various aspects of research and innovations, ranging from fundamental discoveries to translational application, with a keen emphasis on the addressing real-world healthcare needs. I encourage all of you to actively participate. Shall you ignite and collaborate with your peers and maximize the benefits of this program? I would like to thank our Honorable Chancellor Sir, Honorable CEO Sir, Director Operational Ma'am for their valuable guidance and their support. I would like to thank our Vice Chancellor Sir, PVC Sir, Registrar Sir for guiding and for helping us in organizing this FDP. I would like to thank Dr. Ranjana Patnaik Ma'am, our Dean, for collaborating with the School of Sahas for this program. And in the last but not the least, I would like to thank Dr. Gaurav for his initiative, for his wonderful work. Within a week, he has organized this workshop. He has contacted a lot of speakers, and it's the hats off to Gaurav. Thank you for working there hard for this our university. And I would like to thank all the speakers from the national and the international speakers for giving their consent and sparing their valuable time for this FDP program. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. गौरव जी अपने को अनम्यूट कर लीजिए.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for this kind words and motivational words. So I would like to request the Dean, School of Biomedical Sciences, to address the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
On behalf of School of Biomedical Sciences, Galgutias University, I welcome all the speakers, participants, and all the faculties. We know that innovation in biomedical technology comes naturally. We embrace new technologies that solve problems and improve patients' well-being. The purpose is to identify the key challenges the biomedical scientists in academia have to overcome to translate their discoveries into clinical practice through robust collaborations with the industries and discuss the best practices to facilitate and accelerate the process. Prevailing healthcare challenges demand innovation and integrative use of diverse technologies to deliver patient-centered care. With growing needs of aging world population, this has led to new trends in health technologies, where the objective is to develop intelligent solutions for preventive and personalized personalized healthcare. In moving from old mechanical devices to smart connected technologies and novel therapeutics, a huge demand of innovation and R&D in medical biotechnology industry has resulted in a skill gap over the past few years. This program is to fill the gap by developing innovators and entrepreneurs of the future to make impactful change in the healthcare. This program is designed to enable our key strength in data science, engineering, healthcare technologies, mathematical modeling, medicine, and identifying unmet medical needs, inventing new solutions, and implementing them in healthcare environment. So with these few words, I wish very happy journey of learning to all our faculties and uh, leading to encouragement of the students for innovations so as to help them in startups and all that is going to resolve the problem of dual problem of innovation and of course employment. So with these words, I think we should proceed. And thank you very much, Gaurav.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So now I would like to request um, Dr. Somdevnath sir. So please propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. So I'm privileged to be here in a part of this program, and I have been given the responsibility to extend the vote of thanks. So first, I would like to thank our Honorable Chancellor, Sir Dr. Sunil Galgotia, CEO, Sir Dr. Dhruv Galgotia, Vice Chancellor of the University, Dr. K.M. Babu, then Dean of School of Allied Health Sciences, Dr. Shagun Agarwal sir, Dean School of Biomedical Sciences, Dr. Ranjana Patnaik ma'am, for their support throughout and mentorship for organizing this session. And finally, the participants, we extend our thanks to you for taking some time from your busy schedule to be a part of this program. And never, I mean, last but not the least, the technical team working behind this program to make this a success. I look forward to have a wonderful session. And of course, my thanks goes to the invited speakers and a big thanks for the entire team of Galgotias University. I wish a very productive session. Wish you good luck. Thank you.
We are having both the guest of today, Dr. Silverio Di Rocca. Sir is the esteemed dentist and he is having the International RMP School. It is in the Argentina and the Switzerland. Okay, I would be giving a long introduction about the Di Rocca sir.
Yes.
And we are having our another speaker with Dr. Jasmine is there. So I would like to kindly, Dr. Gaurav, kindly
Yes, sir,
start the
yes.
session with Dr. Jasmine session. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. First of all, we would like to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Jasmine Kaur Chawla, ma'am. And thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. So let me introduce first our keynote speaker. Dr. Chawla, ma'am, is currently working as Associate Professor in the School of Allied Health Science, Department of Physiotherapy, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, Faridabad. She has awarded FIFA Diploma in Football Medicine and PhD degree in Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. She has received global awards for the Advancing Chronic Pain Research in 2019 by the Pfizer, New York, and Eli Lilly. So also she received the award for significant contribution in research and academics as Einstein of the Physios at second National Physiotherapy Conference Sport Connect 2. She holds 5 copyrights and patent and published more than 30 articles in reputed international and national journals. She is associated with the Delhi Pharmaceutical Science and Research University as a board member and committee member. She has presented her research on several national and international conferences and served as a resource person for various events organized by the reputed institution. So you are welcome, ma'am, and over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this kind invite. On behalf of myself, I would like to thank the entire Galgotia's team, especially the Honorable Chancellor, sir, the Vice Chancellor, sir, the respected Dean of Biomedical Sciences Research, and the Dean of Allied Health Sciences Research, Professor Dr. Agrawal. I think coming to his place is just like a second home for me. He's not even a mentor, but just like an elder brother who has always been kind-hearted to us. And thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity. So, in order to ignite the spark of innovation and research, I would like to present my small contribution by sharing few ideas in terms of implementations and applications of evidence-based practice. So before starting, I would just like to share a very beautiful quote said by Yogi Berra, that in theory, there is no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is. So with that, I would like to start and share a few of my ideas that I would like to portray on applying the evidence, pathways, guidelines, and protocols in terms of evidence-based practice. So this evidence-based practice has a special meaning for us as allied health people and also in terms of biomedical research, because we people have been aggressively dealing in the field of evidence-based medicine. So in order to understand, let's understand first what do we mean by evidence-based medicine. So evidence-based medicine is the integration of best research evidence with clinical expertise and patient values, as quoted by Dave Sackett. Now, this includes patient concerns, best research evidence, and clinical practice. So how do we see this as in person? We see this that in order to inculcate and identify the knowledge creation, we need some productive tools. We need to synthesize those productive tools. And post synthesizing those productive tools, we need to understand what kind of knowledge inquiry are we propagating with these particular productive tools. So that will definitely include monitoring, that will include tailoring the intervention it needs, also understanding and assessing the barriers for that particular knowledge use, how we can adapt to that knowledge use that we have created. And once we know how to adapt, how to identify the problem. So, my dear friends, when you look at this particular picture, right, you can see there is a person who's feeling ill, right? And the doctors, the patient's attendant asked the doctor, how bad is this? So in return, the doctor says, in return, she asks, should I start dating? So this is an early presumption of a very simple meaning that an illness has been possibly concluded as a deathbed. So this is what exactly we are trying in this aggressive world. We are trying to prejudge certain facts into fictions, or by bridging those particular gaps, we can turn out certain fictions into facts. So our particular research in today's world has to come out of that dilemma, that we are not looking into particular observational studies, we are not looking into particular interventional studies, we are trying to establish the know and hows of a particular relation and a research. So, as quoted by IOM, in terms of evidence-based medicine, by the year of 2020, 90% of the clinical decisions will be supported by accurate, timely, and up-to-date clinical information and will reflect the best available evidence. So I believe in this particular fact because by the time the era of 2020 has come, I think now we are also exploded with the facts of artificial intelligence, where the actual hope and scope of how to utilize artificial intelligence in terms of research has recently come up. Further, let's have an understanding of how a systematic review in terms of evidence-based practice has its relationship between clinical experience and quality of healthcare. I believe that all of my allied health sciences friends will agree to this particular fact, that one of the most hardworking aspect of into a researcher's life is all about discussing the pathway for writing a meta-analysis or a pathway for writing a systematic review. So when we start accumulating the evidences in terms of writing a systematic review that has to be related to the healthcare, we need to look at 4 particular tangents. Now, that 4 particular tangent basically includes what is the overall perspective of that disease or that treatment protocol that we are looking into. What is the knowledge background and the rationale which is present behind it? What are the different tools and screening methods and treatment therapies that have been evaluated? So we need to draw a comparative to that. And overall, how good or how worse has been this particular disease in terms of treatment and in terms of practice. And if there are certain treatment protocols that are running, what is the duration of that particular practice that has been running? So I believe a systematic review is not about collaborating all the evidences and points in that, but it is all about collating and identifying the bridging areas of knowledge that we can collaboratively connect and can look forward for a future evidence resource. So now I'd like to draw your attention on a very beautiful Rule 31 that says, review the world literature fortnightly. So as said, as quoted by Oscar London, it says, kill as few patients as possible. Now this particular statement has a very, very deep meaning. It basically underlines the facts that we need to work not by probabilities and possibilities, but with the help of evidence-based practice. So that evidence-based practice will only include from referred, identified, verified, and reliable sources, right? So you might find a lot of literature articles, and I think, dear friends, even we as academicians and researchers, we also lay this emphasis to identify for correct resources throughout the arena. Now, that throughout the arena only includes from identified resources. Let that be your Sinahil, let that be your Medline, let that be your PubMed. So it should not go as a Google search for a particular research. We need to, showcase this particular aspect to our students, how to go in and dig out the correct information. So the question that comes into practice is that, this question often has been asked by my own students when they say that, ma'am, how much do we need to read in order to identify on what particular topic we need to work? The question was very good, right? And I thought that this might also have some evidence behind it. So I looked into it, and one of the very, very, recent, I would say, information that I was able to gather, it said that majority of the population, majority of the student population, I would say, who want to venture into the research, they usually spend around an hour or so in reading, right? So reading is not about only going through the evidence. I believe reading is all about understanding the knowledge gap. It is just by it is easier than to say and done that reading is all about curating a path, identifying a path from a river to a mountain, right? So now, in terms of evidence-based practice, what is knowledge translation research? A very beautiful word. Knowledge translation research basically means study of the organization, retrieval, appraisal, refinement, dissemination, and uptake of knowledge. So this basic information says that we need to understand that how a particular knowledge can be checked and enhanced, right? So there is a dissemination. That means you need to expoliate the research, you need to expoliate the fact, and then from that expoliation of fact you need to come up with the idea that this particular evidence will work and show some clinical data. Now, there are some keynote type 1, type 2 evidences that are very well present in terms of knowledge research. One that basically comes as a knowledge translation fact is आप कैसे पहुंचते हैं उस particular knowledge translation पे. First step is you need to generate the evidence from research. Second step is you need to summarize and synthesize the question of why and how you can go ahead by it. Third, you need to formulate the idea, you need to formulate the policy, which we in our terms say methodology. Fifth, we need to see the applications of it, right? And the last tangent that it comes into picture is we need to see the decisions and the discussions in terms of patient circumstances, in terms of patients' well-being, patients' wishes, and also, as a matter of fact, what kind of evidence that particular application has brought in front of us. So this is one particular tangent that comes into picture. Now, key two that comes into the question that comes here is, can this particular kind of work actually works, or does this particular methodology works? Both of these questions can be answered in terms of trials. Now, when I talk about, that we need to make a particular research, I still remember my research days when I thought that I'm working on a particular topic and I thought that this is going to be a mission impossible. But when you kept working on it, you actually drew out a pathway. You actually developed a protocol of conducting a research. So research, as very well said, it is just about a very beautiful journey. It is not about then you need to explorate all the facts and you need to collect the data. You need to connect the dots. That is how the evidence-based practice works in. So now I have a very interesting information to share with you all, my dear friends. So that is the Sackett learning. Now, this is one of the most famous and popular evidence-based medicine approach which has been utilized in education. So when I say it has been utilized in education, it means that evidence card on ward rounds. So this particular guy, that is Dave Sackett, they conducted a particular research in wards, right, where they worked in the year of 1919 to 1995, and they collected data on each and particular bed and looked around for each and particular ward for years to understand what kind of information in terms of questions he was gathering and what kind of information he was getting in terms of patients' wishes and well-being, right? So though the research seemed easy, but the decision to research took a little time longer. So now the very, very important question that comes into picture is that we need to cope with the overload, right? We all feel that particular hassle in our mind that kaise khatam hoga, how these things will come to an end, or how we need to proceed further. A very simple answer. You need to read first. You need to read the evidence-based abstracted journals. And I strongly propagate through this particular medium to all my research friends, please read the valid resources. Please read the justified and the relatable resources that actually have some meaning added to it. I think we all believe that evidence-based practice comes from verified sources. So we all are literate enough to understand what is the meaning of verified sources, right? You need to maintain a logbook of your own clinical question. Now, let me share one experience with you on this, that when I say a logbook of questions, when I started reading articles in my research journey, and that is what I do every day. While reading a particular paper, I usually look around for questions. And trust me, majority of the times these questions, they turn out into research articles, right? The third thing, very simple thing that you need to take is run a case discussion journal club with your own practice. I think this is a very healthy practice which we need to do with our PG students and our PhD students, right? Where they need to learn how to read an article. And specifically in our healthcare practices, they should know how to read a case study, and they should know what kind of impressions and expressions are to be portrayed in that particular case studies. Next is how to filter out the knowledge. Now, this is a very interesting question that one of my students always ask is, "Ma'am, itna kuch hai likhne ko, kya kaatna hai pata nahi लगता." It's an easy process. The only way out is you need to find out, you need to underline the fact what is a valid information for your study and which information is relevant. So the relevant will have more worthy information connected to it, whereas the valid information will be helpful for you in developing the application. That means it is relevant in terms of methodology process. Now, next that important point comes into picture is that we need to recognize important knowledge gaps. As I mentioned earlier, please keep a logbook of your questions every day where you can actually highlight the number of questions, the key areas, then you can identify the first. You need to answer very few questions, very few important questions. You need to discuss the evidences with colleagues. Now, when I say this particular fact, that you need to answer a very few important questions. Answering all of it doesn't come to a conclusive meaning. You need to keep the research questions, the objectives very, very crisp, clear, sorted, so that it will be very easy for you to answer them diligently. Sometimes in our own research journey, what happens is that we tend to put so many questions in our research proposals that we only lose the trajectory at the end. So, then it comes to the picture is that you are throwing so many balls in the air, you are supposed to catch all, and at the end, you either miss out on all or you miss out on the major ones. So, please keep it very, very clear that you identify your objectives in terms of primary objectives, what is going to be the focus of your journey throughout, and some of the secondary objectives. There is no such thing that clearly says that there has to be quaternary objective or a quaternary objective, nothing like that. No tertiary quaternary, right? You should be very clear that you have to work on these two particular agents. Working on so many variables, working on so many novelties doesn't make sense. If you're working on one novelty, please give it your best. So here I'm going to share with you, I think, something which is very, very renowned in terms of our own discipline. That is basically the focus lies on case-based club journals. Now, how to study these case-based club journals? These case-based club journals are basically worked up in terms of that you need to focus on the specific case. You need to identify which particular topic you need to work on, right? You need to simply create an appraisal. That means you need to create an idea about it, right? And also, if there is anything, you need to note further actions that are related to it. So on that particular aspect, we need to have a lot of information. What are the different equipments and trainings that we are working on? And to answer these questions, we have divided the whole of the case-based journals into questions, appraisals, and outcomes. That is OAQ. Now, OAQ is further divided into PICO, questions which should be related to patients, interventions, competitors and the outcomes. Appraisals that should be randomized, they should be important. Your research should not be clearly divided on that particular fact, that you take a particular topic and by taking that topic what is going to be the end of it. So the research discipline has to be asserted, right? But the measure of clearing that ascertainment has to be very, very clear. Next, when we talk in terms of outcomes, the randomization differences have to be very, very clear. Further, what actions, what future discipline we need to take, that's it. That is something we usually talk about. So, in terms of understanding the 5 steps of evidence-based medicine, how do we do that? We formulate and answerable questions. We track down the best evidence associated with it. We critically appraise the evidence for 3 important factors: for its validity, for its size of benefit. Now, when I say size of benefit, the impact is, it doesn't really mean that you need to take a very, very large sample size or very, very small sample size for your own convenience. Please understand that whatever measures you have been taken, there are reliable tools, valid tools that help you and understand that different kind of study designs have their own impact in terms of size of population. So randomization of data collection should be avoided, right? Rather, we need to highlight that what is the appropriate sample size, keeping in mind so that your own study becomes validated. So next up here, I'm sharing a simple pictorial presentation that I picked up, right? From a very novel author, that is Gateward Jackson. And they happen to share how this PICA can further be elaborated in terms of population, exposure, and comparison, and the outcomes associated with it. Now, let me help you understand how to formulate a clinical question. Now, formulation of clinical question, firstly, should be aligned with the fact कि उसका answer आपको मिलना चाहिए. It should not be an endless journey. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए that you have started with certain facts and you ended up somewhere else. It has to be very, very strictly defined to your own research objectives. That's how you're able to pay attention to. So that PICO-T will basically include population and patients, interventions, comparison, outcomes, and times. So here I'm only going to share one don't with you. Okay, do's, I'm sure with time and again you're able to understand it better. But don't, what I'm going to share it. Research is a continuous process and a continuous journey of learning. Please don't pick up such kind of topics that will take years and years to come to an agenda underlying it. Please pick up certain topics that have certain end-to-end valuable measures so that you can save and publish a work which has its value over that particular duration of period, rather than getting accumulated and making it complicated with lots of information together won't help you in any further clarification. So further, I'm going to share what are the type of questions that we usually ask in these strategies of stroke. So here I have divided this particular section of research into 3 tangents. First is past, second is current, and the next one is future. So past will always ask about what are the risk factors and causative factors that are basically included. Now that will include that is basically called as a cohort study. Now when I talk about the current study can include in terms of cross-sectional studies. It can also include in terms of surveys. It can also include in terms of randomized trials. It can also include in terms of cohort study. Now, cohort study can become your future study when you when you try to evaluate it in terms of prognosis and treatment methods. Now, one of my favorite slides that says, what is the best evidence depending upon the type of clinical question? What are the thoughts? That means what is the observation of the study? What is the frequency of the problem? Is it random or is it coming on certain regular basis? Does this person have a problem? That is that you have to deal with the diagnosis, and please ensure whenever you do such kind of protocol, they have to be done with gold standards. Who will get the problem? Now, this is something that we are talking about, the prognostic methods. So here we need some follow-up studies to begin with. And last but not the least, when we talk about the intervention and therapy, the research design of randomized clinical trials helps us in understanding it better. So, the next important thought that comes into evidence-based practice is searching, finding the good answers. So where can you find the good answer? So there are various, I would say, laboratories, or there are various directories that basically help you understand the best referenced methods. So as I have already shared before, please go in for valuable, reliable, and authentic sources to understand the truth. Should a research be done as a teamwork? Yes, definitely. It has to be done as a teamwork because you are able to understand the different tangents of a research that are acquired in it, right? So if you do it alone, or if you obtain the information and you do it, you probably tend to get wrong answers. But if you tend to research it by your own ways and propagate the information in the correct way, then you are able to suspect the right ones. Now, a very different slide that says the impact of searching on correctness of answers. हमें कितनी बार एक रिसर्च से सही जवाब मिलते हैं? A very difficult question to ask, to answer, but at the same time, it has a very simple answer to it. For medical students, the only way is to identify what is going wrong that will lead to what is going right. So from wrong to right approach will help you get the best of the answers in all of the practices that are present. Now, the next thing that comes into picture is finding the best evidence for the question type. बेस्ट एविडेंस एक सवाल से कैसे ढूंढा जा सकता है? कैसे एक पर्टिकुलर सवाल सबसे बेस्ट आंसर बन सकता है? That can be in the form of therapy, that can be in the form of diagnosis, it can be in the form of etiology, it can be in the form of prognosis, and it can also be in the form of clinical prediction guides. The next tangent that comes in here is rapid critical appraisal. सबसे important question that जो मुझे समझ में आता है, whatever you're reading, whatever you're reviewing, I always ask the same to my question: is it peer reviewed? And you understand what I mean by peer reviewed. It has to be independently reviewed, and you need to nurture, you need to answer the diversification of thought that basically the reviewers pitch in. Application to the individuals. What do the results mean? Now here, majority of us, we find it a hassle because statistics is something that, we are still in the phase of learning. But trust me, depending upon the research design जो आप पकड़ रहे हैं, depending upon the research design that you have basically adopted, if you simply start by generating the means and average and the differences, you yourself will come to a picture कि इसमें क्या आगे test लगना है, right? Rather than reading the articles and going इसमें ये लगा था तो मुझे भी ये लगना चाहिए, please understand that this might not hold true every time. If you are able to generate the results of mean on average, you are able to understand where your study is going to, how clinically effective your study has become. Now, what are the basis of clinical practice? The basis of clinical practice is you can do it evidence-based medicine with the help of randomized control trial. You can do evidence-based medicine with the help of any cohort study, right? You can do any particular study, any particular research with the help of even prospective studies. When I talk about what are the alternatives to evidence-based medicine, there is only one alternative to evidence-based medicine. That is evidence-based medicine. You cannot replace the practice with any other thing. It has to be converted into a practice only. Now, one of the most beautiful slide that is very, very close to my heart, right? So this says, a typically created slide which asks and talks about the validity of a study. Whom are we taking as a population? Is it randomly allocated? Is it comparable? Is the treatment comparable? Now, as a healthcare professional belonging to an allied health industry, I totally agree and I understand this sensitization that what a treatment means for a patient. So that has to be very, very critically evaluated, that it has to be maintained well, right? What are the different measurements that have to be taken, and what are the objectives? So when I talk about the gate frame, PICOT is something I have already informed in terms of, I would say, epidemiological studies also. We follow the same mnemonics that we try to understand the population measure, we try to see the level exposure, we try to do a comparison between a non-diseased and a disease. We see what kind of outcome are we generating out of C, and the time. Now, why this slide is very important, my dear friends, that half of the time when now we are going to step into writing major projects, and you're trying to portray your beautiful ideas into curative nature. So it is my best advice, please go and follow the PICOT route, so that you can actually identify which kind of population you want to work into. You can actually identify what is the underlying fact that is coming into place. You can actually see that what kind of clinical applications that can be done in terms of exposure and in terms of comparisons. So this is one study that I had picked up. I won't discuss that. Yes. So as I said, 5 focused 5-part questions that comes in PICOT is: what is the population group? What is the intervention about the therapy? What is the comparison, right? Is there an alternative to it? What is the outcome related to it? And the time frame. The lesser part that we need to talk about is comparison. So please keep in mind that your study as a biomedical researcher should always show the impact of placebo in terms of any clinical practice. We need to see the level of this. Now this particular statement, when I say placebo, it highlights 2 important things. What are those 2 important things? First, the level of sensitivity which you need to arise in terms of treatment protocol. Second, the level of workup that you need to particular study, but it also showcases the impact of the particular treatment protocol that you pick up. So this is how we basically formulate and appraise the evidence, right? In terms of population, in terms of comparison, how you compare the exposure with it, what are the different outcomes that are related to it, and the duration of the time. Right. Now I'm going to show you the appraisal of the evidence. क्या हमारी स्टडी सही लोगों ने सही जगह पे कंडक्ट की? बहुत जरूरी सवाल है. सो इज इट, हमने कोई ऐसी स्टडी तो नहीं पकड़ ली जो हमारे ही एरिया ऑफ डोमेन से बाहर है? So this is a very debatable topic because I believe in diversification, but I also believe that certain sensitive topics need to be handled by the right people. So when you are conducting a study, you need to understand that who are you, which particular industry you are being representative of. Is your topic a representation of the same? Whatever participants you have taken up, are they being allocated in the correct way? Right? Whatever measures you are taken, please ensure in terms of application, clinical applications, that you conduct the treatment protocology in terms of blinded way. And if the blinded method has been adopted, has it been blinded well, or the objective has not been complete? So applying the evidence as an X factor will add a lot of value to your study. This is what I entirely tend to say. So this X factor will be based upon a lot of things, integrating all the information that will include clinical expertise, that will include epidemiological evidence, that will include patient preferences, that will also include the public policies. That is the challenges the researcher always goes through while during doing their own practice. So I believe those who have undergone doctorates or those who are undergoing postdoctorates are still on their journey. They know that there are certain political policy related issues that we really have to deal with, and those particular issues also do exist in our own study. So what we don't have to stop at a particular point कि कहाँ वो practice में policies हमारे लिए barrier बनेगा. Rather, we need to pick those particular policies and we need to channelize them according to our research कि कैसे इनकी मदद से हम और better formulation कर सकते हैं. So next that comes into picture is appraisal of the test. So a very beautiful slide that basically shows कि आप जो भी measure कर रहे हो, as I had mentioned last time also, previously, just in previous slides, that Rambo basically is all focused upon the outcome measures. आप outcome measures पिक करते हो स्टडी करने के लिए, बट एट द सेम टाइम क्या आप उन आउटकम मेजर्स की ड्यूरेशन और वैलिडिटी को मेंटेन करके काम कर सकते हो? That is a question mark. So you need to ensure that whatever outcome measures you are picking up, they need to be blinded and they have to be aligned by your own objectives. So there are three very important things that comes into picture is your thoughts, your actions, and the character of the study that comes. The communication that you are doing with the help of the objectives have to be on the same page. So when we talk about epidemiological study का application हम कैसे करते हैं? So we pick up a particular study, we divide them into 4 different exposure categories. You want to divide them in terms of exposure category 1, you want to divide them in terms of exposure category 2, you want to divide them in terms of exposure category 3, and then you want to draw a comparative of it and see that what kind of different measures we are being gathering into, right? So this is what we see, multiple categories exposure that come into picture, and ऐसे ही multiple outcome categories भी निकलते हैं जिनको हम further you have seen that further higher I would say biostatistical applications are used these days, जिसमें आप regression analysis use करते हैं and you come to draw certain AI based equative methods where you happen to identify certain risk factors into practice. Now, so as I mentioned, you divide the exposure 1, 2, 3, 4, you draw a correlation coefficient, then you take it that further as a follow-up study. Follow-up study में you tend to draw a difference between the exposure and the comparative group over a period of time and for a period of time. पहले क्या हुआ था और आगे उस exposure से क्या हो रहा है, right? So you need to decide it in terms of an outcome. So this is how I happen to portray it, that life is a cohort study. It is a natural experiment. Please take a moment and look into ourselves, right? Take a deep breath and evaluate. Isn't the saying correct? We are living a natural experiment given by God, right? And life is all about learning from the experiences and sharing new experiences. So this is what exactly we practice as an evidence-based practice in our own research also. You're learning from the previous experiences and you're implying the new experiences into practice. So moving further, I would like to draw your attention to certain more analogies that I was happened to make and I was happened to portray over a period of time, right? So yes, this is one particular very interesting picture that I want to draw your attention to when it comes to diagnostic test, right? So a lot of us, as researchers, we get challenged with the fact कि कौन सा वेरिएबल गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड लेना है, कौन सा वेरिएबल बेस्ट फिट होगा, कौन सा वेरिएबल लीस्ट फिट होगा. जो वेरिएबल ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम आपकी स्टडी के लिए टिक के सिंगल मेजर की तरह काम कर सकता है विदाउट ड्रॉइंग बायसनेस फ्रॉम इन एंड अराउंड द वेरिएबल्स, that is the accurate one. So it doesn't mean कि आपको you have to really go to abroad and get some fancy equipments for yourself. Please validate your own tool and validate your own practice, right? When you're trying to do a data collection, please practice, then go for it. Because half of the time the biasness can also come from the investigator too, right? So this is what the clinical goal is all about. If your application is going in the positive direction, right, then it is an experimental goal. If your application goal is going in the negative direction, then it only becomes a clinical goal. So that will basically add to the productive values. Now, another very interesting question, जो हर एक budding scholar पूछता है, how can I trust the accuracy data from the study? मुझे कैसे पता होगा कि जो article published है वो सही है? Number one, first you check that the kind of population that the research article has picked up, is it biased or it is non-biased? Is it on this, is the whole of the population on the same page? अगर बहुत ज़्यादा age difference है, then also there is a spectrum bias attached to it. Further, क्या सारे मरीज आपके data collection की applications को follow कर पा रहे हैं? Are all the patients being independently blinded? So these are the certain questions that you need to ask. So one of the recent studies which basically highlighted a tool which is called as QADAS. So QADAS is quality assessment of studies of diagnostic accuracy in systematic reviews. So I was happened to publish one of the systematic reviews during with the help of QADAS. And that QADAS basically mentioned that the same tangent. What is the spectrum of the patient? What is the criteria? What is the reference standard? Are the patient being kept on the same reference base? What is the execution of the reference standard? Right? What are the interpretations? What is the uninterpretable and intermediate test that we need to include? Or are there any withdrawals that we need to dwell out of it? Further, when we talk about the very, very important tangent of evidence-based practice, that is evidence-based learning cycle. Now, moving to this evidence-based learning cycle, utilizing evidence-based outcome measures to develop practice management guidelines. So, my dear friends, I would like to, share this very, very strong word about this fact that every particular study, be it your cross-sectional study, be it your interventional study, be it your cohort study, be it when you are taking, studies where you are developing and you are validating the treatment protocols and the questionnaires, each and every one of them have guidelines. Please follow them. Those are the true measures of practice where you can actually dwell into the guidelines. So I have taken an example of a disease management program, keeping in mind that I'm catering a population of biomedical research. So I have kept it a little open to understand that formulate a clear definition of the disease, its scope, its impact over a time, using a multidisciplinary team. Develop comprehensive baseline information to understand current healthcare delivery and resource utilization. Generate specific clinical and economic questions and search the literature. Critically appraise and synthesize the evidence. Evaluate the benefits, harms, and cost. Develop evidence-based practice guidelines, clinical pathways, and protocol. Further, you need to create a system for process and outcome measurement and reporting. Implement the evidence-based guidelines, pathways, and protocols. And last, you need to complete the quality improvement cycle. So I have tried to make it easy to understand in terms of a research. पहले आप एक topic select कीजिए. Then you need to select the panel that is associated. That means the domain. You need to clearly define the objectives and the scope. You need to list out the goals and the specification of the questions. You need to establish the application tools, that is the methodology. You need to further establish the recommendation, that is the future recommendation and the scope where we can do. Further, you need to validate the document that you have prepared. Frame it out in terms of a beautiful presentation by connecting all the dots. Clearly state the implementation of the study, evaluate and revise. So when it comes to topic selection, right, you can do a topic selection from the impact of the study, the impact of the underlying topic, the volume of the topic that it has, what are the different costs that are associated, what are the different measures where we can actually improvise the quality in the existing scenarios, and how will you ensure that the quality is maintained. Next is selection of the panel. So I think all of our deemed organizations have a multidisciplinary ethical committee practice. Please ensure that you publish each of your research by going through, the rigorous chiseling of your topic through the ethical committee practice. Next that comes into picture is clarification of the purpose and scope of guidelines. You need to be concise. You need to be very, very accurate in terms of which type of population you want to work out. Your inclusion and exclusion criteria have to be very clearly charted. Now, when I talk in terms of listing of goals, so in conjunction with clarification of purpose and topic selection, your goals should be, objectives should be very clearly defined. Assessment of clinical benefits and potential harms have to be ruled out. Any potential harm does not come into the ethical practice of conducting a research. Next, we need to formulate some specific questions that adhere to the guidelines. And we need to stick to the guidelines, keeping in mind what is best for the patient. Next that we come into picture is assessment of scientific evidence. Very, very important slide to note about. So we have, everyone knows the different classes of evidence. The class 1 basically includes the gold standard, that is prospective randomized trials. Class 2 depends upon the clinical study. Class 3 depends upon retrospective collected data. To class 4, class 1 and 2, they basically work on validation of the scales, right? Where each and every particular scale goes through a proper channel and a committee. Step 6, that includes establishing the recommendation. The recommendation level 1 basically comes very with easy justification. Level 2 comes with reasonable justification. So why I'm sharing this level 1, level 2, level 3? The most branded, I would say a word here, the most reliable or the authentic source, publish the information based upon the recommendation. So always read around research papers that are based on level 3 data search. Step 7 is drafting and validation of the document. So as I've mentioned earlier, your statement of problem should be clear. List of specific questions should be clear. Processes should be clear. Recommendation should be clear. Scientific discussion should be clear. Summarization has to be accurate. What are the areas of future investigation? Right? What are the different references that we are taking care of? And the evidentiary tables. Next is the step 8, that is presentation. The presentation has to be very clearly demarcated. Now here we need to, make our young researchers learn a thing. Please do not crowd the PPTs with lots of data. Please keep it healthy. Please keep your content healthy so that it also appeals your own self and the eyes of the beholder. Please keep it very crisp and precise and use your own judgment to make that evidence clearly understandable to the audience. Moving on to the step 9, that is implementation. I think this is something which everybody is aware of. You need to carry out an extensive education. You need to sensitize each and every member of the biomedical research fraternity in terms of the implementation of the work that you are being carried out. Plus, you need to also sensitize what are the different guidelines they need to adhere to, and a pathway. So finally, a research pathway of an evidence-based practice. What is it? It is a critical pathway, which is a calendar of expected event that can be found to be very useful with designated guidelines. Every single step. This is my experience that I'm sharing with you, my dear friends, that whole of the research journey is a milestone. If you divide your whole journey into milestone, you'll be able to channelize it better in terms that what is the first milestone, what is the pathway that needs to be cleared. Coming and moving on to the protocols, right? So protocols have to be very clearly chalked out, right? Very clearly chalked out that on what basic important parameters, right, they need to do the decision making on, right? There has to be a defined entry point. There has to be a clinical judgment. There has to be assessments associated with it. There are, aligned outcomes and endpoints that you need to carry out the research to. Please do not leave any question in the midway, right? You need to answer each and every objective as it has been stated. Okay, we need to very well keep that particular objective adhered to the situations. Last but not the least, right? Evaluation and revision. So evaluation, each guideline should be reviewed on yearly basis. You need to identify new literature search. You need to review the outcomes at several institutional levels also, right? In terms of institutional level, it can be at the departmental level also. And all the trials, please make it multidisciplinary, right? So that you can actually have an access to a better and a higher learning respectively. So this is a cascade of research which I have made, right? So first we need to see what kind of question is it. Is it an interventional or is it the other way around? If it is an interventional, definitely first you need to understand the basics of the intervention by conducting a systematic review. Now, the systematic review can be conducted in various ways. If it is not a systematic review, then you have to go in for the clinical trial that has to be CTRI registered in India, in terms of India, right? Further, all the non-RCT trials, they can be dealt with PubMed related queries only. And further, you need to ensure that if there are other researches, right, they should be carried out with the specific basic observational guidelines. So here I have drawn out a risk cost pyramid. High risk basically includes saving, right, where you are actually saving on the cost. Medium risk studies where you're actually making a cost effective. And low risk study, low risk in terms of where you're actually your harms, they weigh out the benefits. So your study should not be, something out of the world that while you're carrying out, you yourself are drowned in it, right? This is something you really need to keep a check on. So what are the possible approaches to applying reviews? As I've mentioned earlier, that will include your inclusion exclusion, your subgroup analysis, cross designs, and your application in various ways, right? So if you're not able to do a clinical trial to an individual one, then you need to identify the risk factors and the preferences that are associated with it. We also need to identify the outliners that are related to it. Last but not the least, when we are talking about the research, the evidence-based medicine has to be based upon questioning the research, understanding the skills, identifying the evidence sources, and the research has to be time bound. Further, when it comes to the patient decision making, it has to be based upon the aids that we are using, the education and the compliance the patient is having. While improvising on the methodology can be improvised in terms of skills and systems. Further, to summarize, guidelines, they are expected to be part of a medical society, and we ourselves, we need to make these guidelines applications very, very mandatory and primarily, mainly for the well-being of the patient. Timelines for these developments, they have to be imposed, and they should be imposed so that you can have a correct monitoring, evaluation, and revision based upon the database. So this is one of the very, very popular site, that is Center for Evidence-Based Medicine, where you can read a lot about how to practice some research. Further, please look at this cat and see as a lifelong tool of learning. As you go out in this world, right, we predict that you gradually, invariably forget all what you have ever learned at the university. So a very beautiful long life meaning that a lot of knowledge comes from practice, and lot of practice only comes by implications. So that's all from my side. Thank you, everyone. Looking forward for your questions on the same.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your nice presentation. So let me introduce myself again. I'm Dr. Shomnath Roy Chaudhary. I have taken over in place of Dr. Gaurav Kumar because he's a bit busy now. So yeah, the house is open for questions. So we will take some questions. If there are any, please feel free to come up with your questions.
So I could read one.
You see, I don't see any problem.
Somebody has written that, Madam, meta-analysis and systematic reviews are different. Yes, meta-analysis and systematic reviews are different. When you read about evidence-based practice, they are the level of hierarchies, and meta-analysis stand out as the level 1 hierarchy followed by systematic reviews. Both of them can give you perfect results based upon the study and the topic you are catering to. But yes, best intricate results usually come from meta-analysis.
Are there any more questions? Okay. Yeah, I think there is another question. Ma'am, I mean.
Yeah, so it says for systematic review, which kind of statistical tool can be used? So time and again, like as I'll say, there is no perfect formula that a particular tool has to be used, or a single tool is applicable for all systematic reviews. It all depends upon the kind of study and the kind of protocols you're evaluating. If you are basically identifying the establishment between two factors, then you really get to go to the risk factor predicament. If you're only identifying the effectiveness, then the tools becomes different. So yes.
I think there is another question.
Yes, Dr. Error, QDAS can be applied for reviewing the papers also.
I don't know if article. I think there was another question from Ghanishtha Prushti.
Okay. Yes, I
That probably can you? Yeah, maybe I read out the question. She asks, "Can you? It's like we are vanished. The questions are vanishing. Yeah. Can you please tell how to inculcate research mindset among students?"
See, this only comes. I have only one simple question. I mean, I can only share this in one way, that we have already started a journey, right? If somebody wants to become a parent, they have already that why in their mind. If you let them see that why they want to carry out the research, what kind of impact they are going to give to the community, I think how doesn't matter, doesn't make any sense that way. If your why is clear in terms of why you want to do the research, the mindset will automatically will shift to the why, and how becomes easy. So Kanishta, you just need to share your own journeys, and you need to make them come into the practice of reading. Reading will give you a better learning.
So Mohammed Siddiq has expressed his thanks for the nice presentation. So does Dipti. Now, I think the question from Dr. Era Upadhyay was already addressed. Maybe I read out the question once again. Could QUA-DAS be applied for review papers? But I think you have already answered.
It does, can be applied, yes.
Yeah. And then people have, I see many thanks coming for the wonderful presentation. Dr. Era Upadhyay writes, it was indeed a nice learning. So I don't see any more question in the chat box at the moment, but we still have 5 minutes time. If there are some more questions, we will be happy to take it.
Yeah,
and we'll love
sure.
to answer the questions.
Yeah, so I'll just share an additional point. We need to first learn ourselves, and that will not happen alone. Please create teamwork within yourselves. You have to lead by the example. If you will start reading and share your thoughts and information amongst your students, trust me, though my research journey is very small, I'm yet to learn a lot. But sometimes my own students have made me hear out things which I might have missed. So it is always very, very essential to share the information, whatever you understand, and make it clear. There is no, if and how to the horizons of learning. But yes, there are definitely very wonderful whys what to do. What are the limitation of physiotherapy clinical trials in India, as per your opinion? As of now, what I see in terms of limitation of clinical trials is the challenges in carrying out the methodology in a perfect way. Perfect, I won't say there has to be an A to Z connection, A to it, but sometimes we face an internal challenge by connecting the dots in the perfect manner. We tend to copy out the methodologies from the international research scenarios, but we need to adapt it. We don't have to copy out it. So majority of the times the researchers, they face a challenge that something that has been already done, they try to copy it out. The only limitation the physiotherapy has, we need to establish our own methods and validate it. We don't have to go in for
I don't know. I think there are some issues in the internet connectivity,
I
but
hope
yeah,
I'm
now
connected.
it's resolved, I think. Yeah. Yeah, ma'am, please
Oh.
continue.
Right. So that's what I wanted to share. There are no limitation unless and until we only get stuck to it. So as long as you keep on practicing the valid and reliable methods and you keep including them one, your research will be hassle free. It will be smooth.
Okay, so I don't see any more questions in the chat box. We still have 2 minutes time. Maybe a quick question if somebody still wants to know something from ma'am. Please come up with your question.
I would like to thank Dr. Jasmine for a very valuable session. In a very simple words, in the 60 minutes of talk, you have covered everything from A to Z. I know research is the ocean is there, definitely, but you have given up a thought ki how the we as an students, as an colleagues, as an all the every person has got a thinking ki what they should do in their research part. Thank you, Dr. Jasmine. Thank you for all this information. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. So dear friends, research is all about following the SOPs. Please follow the SOP. It will be very, very easy. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I would like to welcome our next speaker of the day, Professor Silverio Di Rocca. Dr. Di Rocca is the founding director of the MPR International School. He is a doctor dentist and postural therapies expert specializing in craniofacial orthopedics and posturology. For over 40 years, he has worked internationally throughout the America and Europe in parallel to his teaching within the MPR International School, which has been operating globally with international workshops and online courses since 2005. Silverio Di Rocca has completed his graduation in dentistry, post-graduation in functional orthopedics, both from the University of Buenos Aires, that is Argentina. He has also done a degree in dentistry and prosthetic in the University of Turin, Italy, and a doctorate in dentistry and prosthetic at the University of Turin, Italy. He is Vice President, International Representative, and founder of API Swiss, International Association of Posturology, Switzerland. He is also a professor in Amoquec, diplomate in Mexico, and Comel College of Dentistry in Mexico, associate professor in International College of Orthopedic Medicine, Milan, Italy, and an international honorary member of AMOCOAC. He is author of the book RMP Rehabilitation, that is the myofunctional postural, currently continuing the teaching of the holistic MPR approach to students from around the world. We welcome you, Dr. Di Rocca, in our FDP program. Thank you for your consent and for your valuable time We know there is a time gap from the Switzerland and the India is there, and I find it out you are a passionate educationist. Okay, I know the Diroka from the 2013. He is my teacher, and he teaches from the heart, I would say. Thank you, Dr. Rocca, for giving your consent for this FDP program. Thank you, Dr. Rocca.
Thank you so much. I think you listen well my voice, and thank you
Yeah,
for your
voice is very clear,
invitation.
sir. Yeah.
Thank you for your invitation. I'm very happy to be with you, one of my students around the world. Okay, and then you growth and growth a lot in your career, and I'm very happy for that. Okay, today I will try to introduce in physiotherapy something very, I don't think it's new, but it's a new concept in rehabilitation. And I will share the presentation, and then we can start the topic together. All right. Okay. I think now you've seen the presentation, and I would like to 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 start saying thank you so much for inviting me in that fantastic university. I like to teach. You know that, Shagun. I teach with my heart for every part of the world. And today I will talk about something very important for uh, for your point of view, for the physiotherapists, for rehabilitation. Is the way, is the coming into the instrumental diagnosis. Sometimes we do clinical approach. This presentation will be very deep clinically. I will show a lot of patients, a lot of things that for rehabilitated people will be very important. And in the clinical posturometry is instrumental diagnosis. But before I start to this, let me introduce the whole concept, because if it's not, it's very difficult to understand. That is my little CV. It's a little resume in my CV. And we start with a mandatory question. That is for all people, not only for people who do rehabilitation. And it's who has not had a patient like this and never failure? I will show you the patients. Look at patient for every day, patient for rehabilitation, how we treat it. Very important question. Yeah? All these patterns we see always in our practice every single day. Neurological integration of the body, and even patient with anatomic problems, patient with real scoliosis. Imagine all these patients we see a lot of them every single day in our clinical practice. Patients like this, adults, childs, elderly patients, a lot of patients with problems, a lot of surgeries. I think surgery for nothing, because we don't treat the physiological way the patients, scoliosis. Look at that. Every one of us, every day, has a patient like this, but who failure in the treatment sometimes. But we ever wonder why? Why we failure? And the answer is because we don't use the same diagnostic and therapeutic point of view in all health sciences. We don't realize through interdiscipline. That's the main problem we have in the treatments. And if we are a physio, think about that. And the next pictures I will show you. We do something like this every time. And if we are osteopaths, with the only manipulation, and most of them, if we are dentists, we put appliances for everybody, not more. We never see the total body together. And patients, all of them more or less follow the same path. This is a little picture, a very nice picture, Madame Rose. But Madame Rose can be every patient who has pain, follow a lot of disciplines, and the end is like this. After that, coming back with the pain, and discipline said, in my point of view, she is okay. Why? She suffered. And every day we see that. Every day we see in all medical sciences relapsing patients who come in psychiatry with a lot of medicines. And I think because we don't see the patients in the whole body in a real interdiscipline. And we can understand each other if we cannot understand each other if we don't speak the same language. That's the key, to speak the same language. In medical science, I am talking. We have to speak the same language. We have to speak as the other can understand. That's the only way. We develop international networks in our school, the NPR International School, every part of the world, with professionals who speak the same languages in diagnosis and therapy. That's the goal. And we create teams for work in the whole medical sciences, working together, talking together, speaking the same language. And now I would like to introduce the presentation now. What is posture anyway? Posture, static posture, is important science that we have to learn. The way the human body orients and maintains itself in space, but need muscles to do that. And we work every single day with muscles. Central nervous systems is creating the basic muscle tone to have a good posture. And a good posture is symptom of good health. It's a good indicator of health. The tonic postural system. The tonic postural system is a cybernetic system that have receptors that send information for the central nervous system, and then the central computer, synthetically say, is elaborating the muscle tones and is creating a circle. In the middle of that, and this is an important thing I want to tell all of you, craniofacial system is a big disturber. When is dysfunctional, is a big disturber to the posture. And we never know that. Dentists work alone. They don't see the body. The other disciplines think they understand craniofacial system, but they not. And the integration is to have a good function. That particular part of our body is very important, craniofacial system. Disturbing the whole body. I will try to explain later, and I try to explain how to measure that and how to have a good rehabilitation if you follow the steps. Adaptation. Human being create this system to walk in the life. This system have receptors, eyes, feet, in the middle, the mandibular position. That means craniofacial system disturbing the muscle chain. And I am asking how we can think we can do a good physical rehabilitation if this particular system is disturbing the muscles every single moment. It is impossible. That's why sometimes treatment, release, there is not only do techniques. Techniques are important, I know that. We cannot work without techniques, but we need diagnosis and we need to understand how is the function of this system. The feet, another big receptor of the posture, and the jaw position. Jaw position, when it's not centrated, is creating a lot of problem into muscle change. And imagine, for you physio, osteopaths, rehabilitators, you are doing techniques and you don't take care. This evil that is craniofacial system, that is disturbing your job every single minute in the life of the patient. The eyes, another oculomotor system, vision and mobility. That's posturology. Multiple systems are involved. That means we cannot work alone. It's impossible. We have to have interdiscipline. Interdiscipline with the same protocol. That's why myofunctional postural rehabilitation, born many years ago, 40 years ago. Interdisciplinary protocol. Every medical science working together with the same protocol, with the same point of view. That's the key for good rehabilitation. Holistic balance. Holistic balance is important, but we can have a holistic balance if all medical sciences work together and if all medical science have the same protocol for work. In our concept, we said reprogram, rehabilitate, and then reprogram. If we can take it out, the aggression momentarily, all of you can have a good physical rehabilitation because nothing interferes. That is the programming. And then after rehabilitation, every specialty will reprogram the things that's needed. Holistic interdiscipline, that is the key. And the key is also prevention in the child. When the childs are growing, that's the way to start the work. That's why it's important. Medical doctors, pediatricians, etc., working with this protocol. We have in the protocol clinical diagnosis, instrumental diagnosis, and complementary diagnosis. So today I will talk about instrument diagnosis, that is posturometry. That is very important for you because when you measure, you are transforming the clinical opinion in science because you see with an objective instrument. That's important. Objective instrument, the way to do diagnosis, clinical and instrumental. The NPR protocol is, I try to show you very simple. What is NPR? NPR is a diagnostic and therapeutic method that use tools of different disciplines. And the purpose is to obtain the balance between craniofacial system and the tonic postural system. If we do that, we will have good rehabilitations, no relapses, and easy rehabilitation because we will work without interferences. That's the goal in NPR. NPR protocol is active because it's adapting to any evolution of the patient. It's integrated because all disciplines working together, interdisciplinary because we have all medical science working in the protocol. And NPR is the tool, and it's myofunctional because it's working with the physiological musculoskeletal balance. It's postural because rehabilitates stomatognatic system and the rest of the body, and rehabilitation because rebalance the whole system. That's the key. What is healthy posture and how is it measured? We do clinical tests. We observe planes and different tests in our body. That's, I cannot explain in 1 hour how is the diagnosis, but this is particular diagnosis in clinical. And planes, when muscle chains are with no hyperactivity or hypoactivity, that planes are parallel between them and between the floor. Good indications. Torsion. The head movement, the oculomotor system, convergence, one of the main receptors, that is clinically, how interfere the jaw position with the oculomotricity and the foot support. With all these diagnoses and plus the instrumental diagnosis, we can have a good integrated diagnosis. The foot support. Foot support is, you know very well, Kepanji, you are a physiotherapist. The Kepanji study how the body weight was distributed in each foot in 3 points: calcaneus, first metatarsus, and fifth metatarsus in this percent. And we create a triangle of balance. If we trace the bicep traces of the triangle, we found the very center of the foot. And we have 2 disciplines working together: posturology and posturometry. Posturology is a medical science that studies the static posture of the body. And posturometry is the medical science that measures the posture. Measure is important because we can imagine we are going well in our treatment, but when you measure, you really see if we are going for the right way or not. Posturometry, very important. The study of the posture. We study the posture for many, many years, and we measure. And the posturometer is a very good instrument to make diagnosis, planning a treatment, and mainly follow a treatment. And also with this, we can do sensorial rehabilitation. That's the posturometer. The posturometer has a software who measures the posture with the concept of Kepanji. The posturometer have sensors that send the information to the computer, and we have software who measure, okay? We measure the percent of the body weight is arriving to each part of Kapanji, and also the overload to the right, to the left. We can study the barycenter of the body. We can study the muscle tone. We can study with the I create a protocol, a clinical protocol for this instrument that allow us to make a very good diagnosis of a lot of things. Obviously, instrument without medical protocol is nothing, it's mathematics, no more. The posturometer is an objective instrument for mission, for interdisciplinary diagnosis. We can study with the instrumental diagnosis a lot of things in our work. Clinically and instrumental, we can study the oculomotor system, postural analysis, stomatognatics analysis, and foot support. Posturometry is an excellent instrument for diagnosis of neuromusculoskeletal dysfunction. But it's important because we transform our clinical opinion in science. And that in medicine is important. Because if it's not, it's only imagination. And both have to work together. We cannot do only instrumental diagnosis. We need to have a clinical diagnosis and instrumental diagnosis. That is 100% good diagnosis. And we see the changes. Look at here. We are testing the mouth. Look at how it's changing immediately. When the patient closes the mouth, changes the body. Postural change. And you can see that with an instrument, but we can measure a lot of things. Look at here, changing the weight, changing the body weight distribution. We can study a lot of things with, we can study the vision, we can study the foot support, we can study we can measure our treatments, the muscle tones, the balance of our treatment, etc., etc. And it's important in rehabilitation. The barycenter. We study the barycenter of the body. If we go, we study there 3 values. We study the oscillation of the body, the position of the barycenter, and with the cover of the barycenter, we can see the muscle tone. Higher is the value, is hypotone. Less is the value, is hypertone. Imagine if you're doing a treatment and you want with the treatment relax the muscles. If you measure before and after, you can see if you obtain the result. The speed variation, the comfort of the body, we can see if our treatment gives comfort or not for the body. The relation for the oscillation. We can see here, one of the things one can study is balance. If the people have more oscillation lateral than sagittal, maybe it's a neurological problem in the equilibrium. We can see a lot of things with a simple instrument and a good protocol for that. And also the muscle tone, the area. And this posturometer is based in the concept of Kapanji. 3.3 sensors of the foot. We studied many years ago how, I'm saying 30 years ago, I did a research to study how the interferences of the occlusion can affect the foot support. Imagine, this can affect the foot. Pre-contact in the anterior area of the mouth can affect the first metatarsus. Contacts in the lateral area of the mouth We call that occlusal plane, affect the fifth metatarsus. Less load in this area. And when we have in the back part of the teeth pre-contact, it will affect the calcaneus. Imagine the connection between the whole body, and then we can treat only sectorial. It's impossible, believe me. I tell you my experience of more than 50 years. It's impossible to do that. That's the schema. And in another way, that's the schema. Look at there. We have pre-contact there, losing in the first metatarsus the load. This less load maybe is indicated a pre-contact in the teeth. And how you can do a rehabilitation if the mouse is disturbing your body? And you can you imagine that it will not relapse? It will relapse because you don't annulate. And I will show you how physio can annulate. Very simple, that very, very simple. I invented a device for physios, I will show you later, to use the physios, not only dentists, to use the physio to annulate the craniofacial system. Look at that. That is effect of the pre-contacts. And we can go for each part of the body. Each part of the body is affecting the posture. And look at here. 2 measures, body with the mouth open and the mouth closed. Look at the torsion from here to here. How you can avoid that? Only with manipulation, only with physiotherapy, only with insults, only with what? If you do not annulate the mouth, if you do not annulate the craniofacial system, it is impossible. We can study the oculomotor system. We can study a lot of things. The craniofacial system. That's the thing I try to teach, not only for rehabilitation, but for dentists, because dentists are doing very bad jobs looking only teeth. We are changing that mentality in our school. We do formation to avoid this problem. And look at that. The eyes are working with monosynaptic pathway, and they have 2 functions, vision and movement. That means refraction and oculomotricity, one of the main receptors of the postural tonic system. Look at that. Lateral deviation of the mouth, of the jaw, and forward or retro position will affect the eyes movement. The lateral deviation affects, imagine the connection with jaw position, eyes, and posture. Lateral deviation affects unilaterally the convergence. Convergence, we means peripheral vision. If we lose the peripheral vision, our body adapts. And jaw is affecting that. And also in forward or retro position is affecting bilateral hypoconvergence. We see you clinical cases. Look at here. The mouth with lateral deviation is affecting one eyes, affecting the overload of the body for one side. The same here. Overload. But forward or retro position is affecting both eyes. It's not overloading the body laterally, but it's changing the body center, forward or back. Imagine the jaw position, how it's affecting muscle change. and we want to work with muscle change with that interferences, it's crazy. That's why some therapists relapse. And we have to, and we think we're changing techniques that will be better. It's not. It's the diagnosis who is wrong. Look at here. Oculomotricity, that's the test. A mouse always is connecting with that. Oculomotricity, posture, a mouse. Oculomotricity, I call that patient Robocop, my Robocop. A lot of surgery because has pain in lumbar, one surgery, more pain, more surgery, more pain, more surgery, a life of surgery, and nobody see the integrated diagnosis. As you see, all medical science make mistakes. Hypoconvergence, functional scoliosis. 90% of the scoliosis is functional, not anatomical. And it's related with this dysfunction where we affecting the muscle change and this column adapting, making adaptation. How? Deviation of the jaw, how affect? Affect mobility and muscle change and chronically affecting chronic pain. TMJs. Sometimes I see all around the world saying I'm a specialist in TMJs. That's very wrong. TMJs is part of the craniofacial system. It's not just the joint. We have to be a specialist in the whole system, not just in the TMJs. TMJs is just part of one system. Connected through the yoid system with the rest of the body. We cannot see we cannot say I am a specialist in the TMJs. It's not right. It's very wrong. All connected, not just TMJs. And how the jaw position affect the muscle change? When the jaw position is wrong, it's increasing the pressure into the temporomandibular joint. That's dangerous. And the only defense central nervous system have is bruxisms. Bruxism is not a disease. It's a very bad defense because central nervous system said teeth are blocking the bad position. I have to destroy the teeth. Bruxisms start during the night, creating a lot of problem because it's creating a lot of muscle hyperactivity and chronically postural alteration. That's the way. And you don't annulate that, you can never will have a good physical rehabilitation. When pressure increase, central nervous system say dangerous, danger for the TMJs, bruxisms. That is the way. Proprioception, alarm. Enjoy the system, connection. Don't forget ever that the yoides system is connecting upper part of the body with the lower part, and something we start on the top slowly can arrive to the foot, and vice versa. Something for the foot can arrive to the top. All is connected. Bruxisms is a defense from TMJs. When it's danger, defending the TMJs. Very bad defense, but it's the only one central nervous system have. Bruxisms, domino effect, chronic pain, injury. We absolutely have to stop that. Common misconception is that bruxism is caused by distress. No, that's wrong. Bruxisms, chronically, it can cause stress, but it's not caused by the stress. Bruxisms increase the pressure into the craniofacial sutures. Sometimes it's creating functional asymmetries, moving the sutures. If you see that position, you see retroposition, it's affecting muscles. A lot of muscles, cranial muscles, a lot. And slowly, this retroposition is going, affecting neck and cranial muscle, and slowly is going down, blocking first and second vertebra. And imagine you can unblock it. Yes, you can, but it's blocking again because the jaw in bad position is creating more hyperactivity. It's impossible to work permanently if you don't annulate that situation. And slowly it's going down and down. It's going to the neck, it's going to the grand dorsal. From then is arriving here. Some problems there is related with bruxisms. And then slowly going to this deeply and going down to lumbars, and we go to the arriving to the foot. Connected, body is connected. Remember that, please. And scoliosis is, we say, functional scoliosis most of the time. Most of the time is functional scoliosis. Real scoliosis is very 5% of the scoliosis. Most of them is connected with the foot support, craniofacial system dysfunction, biochemistry, that means alimentation, intoxication of the body, who is affecting the muscle change also. I will show you some clinical cases. Look at this, lateral deviation, and look at how it's increasing 8 kilos when the patient closes the mouth. Imagine every single day, 8 kilos more when mouth is closed. It's creating the compression of the TMJs chronically, is creating damage into the TMJs. TMJs treatment is not only massage or manipulation. This is symptomatic treatment. The real treatment is avoid the problem directly. That means annulate the teeth momentarily, centrate the jaw, and then it's okay. Look at that. TMJs with problem. Jaw position, hypoconvergence, and block it. It's a lot of patients I can show you with the same pattern of craniofacial dysfunction. The formation of the jaw, that's the future of the jaw when we have increasing depression. And it's affecting directly the neck. And how you unblock the neck? Yes, you can unblock the neck, but with hyperactivity of the muscles, very strong manipulation. If you relax the craniofacial system, your treatment will be easy, better, and permanent. And you can measure that with posturometer. The jaw, always, jaw is present, always. Always jaw position is present. And measuring, we see what happened. A lot of patients who have this problem, who have symptoms, a lot of symptoms related with, not with TMJs, with craniofacial dysfunction and postural dysfunction. All of them are related. That age is the age of prevent. In that moment, if we start, we prevent to do not arrive like this as an adult. Adaptive scoliosis is related with these dysfunctions. Sometimes we have an anatomical problem, a real short leg. If you see a lot of patients who suffer postural alteration is related with all these things I am telling you, and how we can work alone. It is impossible. We are doing only symptomatic treatment. We don't go to the root of the problem, and we need to go to the root of the problem. You see, and I can show you thousands of patients. I have 50 years working. And this year I have 50 years in medical science working. In July 50 years working plus 6 of university. 56 years, and I saw a lot of patients in my career with this problem. But because we don't investigate this, we are only doing symptomatic treatment. Look at that. We have a lot of patients with the same particular problem. A lot. A lot is involved. Look at this patient who have postural plane alteration, upper and lower problem. Study the whole body. I am showing now quickly in a roughly 1 hour presentation. I try to show you how we do that in our diagnosis. No, our diagnosis and showing some part of the treatment. Yeah, and that's body anteposition, oculomotor system affected. Always we see that. Foot support, adaptation. Most of the foot is adaptation. And I see a lot of people who immediately put insoles. That's wrong also. We study the whole body. Look at the mouse. Lateral deviation. Look at the posture. When the mouse is open, 3 kilos. When the mouse is closed, increase to 4.5. Measuring is showing that. If it's not, it's imagination. Look at patients with the same pattern. We study the whole body always in our clinical study. Yeah? The symptomatology, patient with headache, neck pain, muscle pain, dizziness, and TMJ click, all related with postural dysfunction. Look at that. Hypoconvergence. Look at here, mouse. As you see, all is related. Look at here, open mouse, increasing and torsion. In the stabilometry also, we can measure a lot of things with the posturometer. It is impossible in 1 hour to explain the diagnosis of posturometer. I want to show you that it's possible to do that. And the torsion of the body, the torsion of the body. We need to cancel that. And 25 years ago, I invent some device for annulate that. And it's used for all medical sciences, medical doctors, physiotherapists, osteopaths, dentists also. Everybody can use it. I call it that bed because it's not a bite. is a craniofacial system. The programming call it body equilibrium device. Only one size device you can adaptate for any single patient. You can manipulate in the mouse directly, and you annulate one of the biggest disturbers in the posture. Annulating the stress of the craniofacial system. The body equilibrium device is a very important device, and for physio is very important. Cancel out the craniofacial system interferences. Very simple. With hot water, you can manipulate it, you can adapt it, and then you can use it. Very, very simple. Annulating the muscle area, different part of the device for tongue rehabilitation, muscle rehabilitation, proprioceptive rehabilitation, etc. Simple device, only one size. Look at here, clinical cases. Also in sport, you imagine an sportive that is losing performance. I did a research, I think it was 50 years ago, one of the research, annulating the mouse to see if it's improving. We do that, all of them annulating the mouse is improving the performance of the body. More muscle function in the body. Annulating the mouse, annulating this situation. Deprogramming the jaw, we call that jaw deprogramming, mandibular deprogramming. And look at here how it's changing from 4 kilos to 1.2. Patients suffering a lot. Look at the face after annulating. And look at the body, zero unbalance. Patients with TMJ's problem, we need to work with them. After, look at here how the mouse, sorry, I make a mistake. Okay, all right, going back. Let me go with the mouse. Look at here how it's centrated, the mouse. How the mouse after the programming is centrated. Good. A lot of patients with these problems, you can help a lot. You physio can help a lot doing a good job in the craniofacial system annulating. This is the postural meter measuring, and then also making also the rehabilitation in a good way. Imagine you annulate the interferences and how you can work better. Measuring is very good because you know, look at after the programming, zero imbalance. You can see if your work is going well or no, and you can have a good diagnosis. In conclusions, it's important to know the physiological connection within the body. The negative role of craniofacial system dysfunction on the neuromuscular chains is forgotten in physical rehabilitation. The treatment of choice is always holistic diagnosis and interdisciplinary therapy. In rehabilitation, it is necessary to cancel the negative effect in order to carry out good therapy that lasts over time. The therapy of choice is osteopathy and physiotherapy together. That's why we started a master in physiotherapy, in osteopathy. We call it postural osteopathy for physiotherapists. Postural osteopathy, to work in this way, just not manipulation. Theory and practice. We do the practice in one fantastic island, is Canary Island. with a very good sanction, with able for all medical science to be ready for postural. We work, we study a lot of things of things in that master of postural osteopathy. This is 2 years master. And if you have any question later, I will ask the question. But let me show you now the posturometer working in real way. Let me do, because we have time and things. I want to share now. Let me go here, and then let me go to share the. Then we want to share. I open the posturometer software. Let me 1 second, and I will show you directly how it works. Okay, this is very simple to work with the posturometer. Let me share the presentation here. Yeah. Okay, let me go here. The posturometer is there. Right, I think you see now the posturometer. Yeah, the posturometer working. Yeah, let me share the posturometer there. Yeah, this is the software. We have, look at here, 2,489 patients measured with more than 50,000 exams. But we choose one of them, okay? We choose one. And then we have examination here. Yeah, in the software, we go into the beginning until I show you how it's working, the posturometer. You see here the posture, the mouse, and the foot support. And if we go here, we have the 3 exams together. If we go here, imagine, in a simple way, we see what is the problem. Look at here. This is the body weight distribution. 4 kilos of overload. The triangle here is saying this way. Mouse close, and it's better. But it's better the overload. But if you see the body center here was centrated, and here is not. Here is back. And this is the foot support. We're trying to be better. We can analyze any single diagnosis. Yeah. And here, let me go a little bit down with this, with the zoom. Okay. You have here 3 exams. The body center of the body, 3 examinations, and the foot support. Imagine here in the foot support. That is the oscillation of the foot. And if you see, all traces are in superposition. We said in that case that we have there good receptor. But if you see here, the body center is centrated, but here is varus. The oscillation is good, same oscillation, and we can analyze these values also. And look at here the mouse. The green one is the mouse. The mouse is trying to centrate the position, but is making the body center back. In our point of view, that situation is a retroposition of the jaw. And you can measure that. And you can measure the torsion of the body, the grease of the torsion of the body. And you can measure a lot of things here. This one is in a cloud. This one is in a cloud. And you can see how was the registration, the movement of the sensor, you see, because it's recorded and it's there, and you can analyze. We can share for everybody around the world with our team. We can share the exams and show you more, because we have time. I show you more examination. Okay, and here the first 3 exams of diagnosis. We go here, click, and we have always here. Look at here, this case, 10 kilos of overloaded posture. 9 kilos of overload in the mouse, 6 kilos the food. Here, the problem maybe is the occlusion. Barycenter, so the barycenter of the food. You can analyze in any patients, you can analyze the study, you can repeat the exams every time you want, and you can see every time you want the examination. And imagine in physiotherapy, if you want to go here, here is the barycenter area, the area who cover. Imagine we are doing a therapy now, and this is the posture, and this is your therapy. Yeah, okay. If we wanted to create a hyperactivity after the treatment, this value have to decrease. When we have less value, more hyperactivity. One of the things. With this one, we can do proprioception rehabilitation with the patient in person, in clinic. That is a good instrument for all medical sciences and mainly for rehabilitation people. Okay, and we're going now to the conclusion. Yeah. Okay. Let me go here. Let me go to the presentation. Of. Okay. All right. I am here. And if you have any questions, I am here now. Okay. Yes, we have time for questions if you like. Okay. Okay. Tell me if there's any question I can answer. I can answer any question for you. Right.
Dear colleagues, you can write down your questions on the chat box.
Let me see if I see any question there. Let me go to the chat box. Let me go here. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I see there. Yeah. And it's saying one of the presenters, Thomas Mayer's theory of myofascial lines for muscular field or a different mechanism. The mechanisms of our school is a different mechanism. We are talking about the holistic concept, you know, as you see. That's why I start the presentation with before with the posturology, because if we understand posturology, we can understand the diagnosis. And we study the whole body dysfunction, not just the muscle dysfunction, and how is arriving the muscle dysfunction. You know, the muscle dysfunction is a consequence of something who is not working well. And in my experience of many, many years, one of the most disturber of the muscles is when craniofacial system is disturbing. Don't forget it. I tell you my experience of 50 years, and nobody take care of it. Nobody take care how to annulate that system to have a good physical rehabilitation. It's one part. In our school, in our master, I told you before, one part is how to annulate the craniofacial system. Because if you don't annulate this, the problem is relapsing, is coming back again. Yeah? This is the concept. But also we have to study the food support. We have to study the psyches. We have to study the biochemistry of the body. That means intoxication of the body, because muscles with intoxication never work well. In our protocol is a holistic diagnosis and holistic concept. Who are creating problem into the neuromusculoskeletal system, right? That is the concept. Okay, thank you. I hope you enjoy. It's a lot of people who enjoy.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
We are having
Thank
the
you.
one body, one unit is there, and you have simply explained how the TMJ can affect the whole of the musculoskeletal and the neurological system. And the posture is not related to your muscles and bones. It has got a very important role from the TMJ. If we can just release the TMJ, definitely we can control the posture.
Yeah,
And
you know,
if it would be possible, I still have got the instrument body equilibrium device, BED, BAD.
And I hope we came back to India, or maybe the people take the master in osteopathy and they came to Canary Island. Is a very good sanction there.
Definitely for the interdisciplinary things we would be.
We have the practice twice a year. Maybe we can meet together there. Right?
Definitely. After the post-COVID, definitely we can do it.
Yeah.
Now
I hope you enjoyed the
Dr.
lecture.
Gaurav.
I hope was very useful for all of your participants. And I am here if there's any more question. If it's no, we can finish the lecture today. Okay.
Yes, sir. So the now session is open for the question and answer. If anyone has any query, you can ask your query with our esteemed speaker. Anyone, you can unmute yourself.
Do you want to unmute myself?
No, sir. So participant can unmute themselves to ask their query.
Yes. If you like, you can talk, and we can talk together. Yes, no problem.
So if there will be no query and question, then I would like to request the Dean, sir, to kindly felicitate our speaker with e-memento.
It's my honor to give the e-memento to Professor Di Rocca. Thank you, Dr. Rocca, for giving your valuable guidance and your insights about the TMJ joint and the posturometry. And definitely we would have a new calibration, because now the Indian new education policy says it should be the interdisciplinary should be there. And definitely we would create more and more innovative work with your guidance. Thank you for giving your valuable time.
Thank you so much for your invitation, Shagun. You know, I am very happy anytime I come into India. I was very happy to talk with the Indian people. Thank you so much for your invitation and compliment for your career. You are growing and growing and growing. I'm very happy one of my students is growing up. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind
Thank you so much. So, any participant, if you have any query, you can unmute yourself and ask. I have also posted the feedback form. Your feedback is very important for us. So kindly also fill out the feedback form and provide your feedback.